So we have a full program today. We can get started. By way of introduction, the first two webinars in the series focused on the question of how we produce food. So the benefits and feasibility of agroecology as an alternative paradigm to the dominant production model, an approach to farming that works with ecological principles and also calls for changes within the broader food system in which the farms are embedded. We explored how agroecology can deliver at the same time food security, biodiversity, and climate benefits. And we also heard that there's many challenges that need to be addressed to scale up agroecology. The second webinar then focused on some of the tools that we can use to support changes on the production side of things, and in particular on the role of research, dialogue, and organic action plans. For those who weren't able to dial in, just a reminder that the recordings and PDFs are available on site. Check those out and also share them in your networks. So today what we're doing is focusing on the other side of the equation, so the consumption part of transition to sustainable agri-food systems. And in Central Eastern Europe, we're seeing quite a lot of bottom-up initiatives, innovative initiatives from farmers, consumers, civil society, and also public authorities. From farmers market to direct marketing, discussions around public procurement, or food cooperatives emerging. And it's really quite clear that interest and public awareness around food consumption as an area of great societal importance is growing, even if sometimes it feels like it's growing more slowly in our part of Europe. And in part, this growing interest is mobilized by policy initiatives at EU level, in part certainly also by the many public health costs that we're seeing from current diets, including among the most vulnerable populations, as well as growing awareness that food choices really are about climate action as well. And since the financial crisis in 2008, at least in Slovenia, we're also seeing a growth of self-provisioning and gardening as an economic strategy for households. But I think also that this public interest in food is in part driven by a desire for more connection, away from anonymity and the risks of relying on anonymous chains, and a desire to know where food comes from. And food really can be a sort of a focal point for creating connections between consumers and producers, within families, schools, and other institutions. And eating is such a basic need. It's a powerful social practice of connecting with each other, and increasingly also a political act. I was in a plant-based bistro in Ljubljana the other day, and I struck up a conversation with the manager who said that something that I think really encompasses both sort of the opportunity and a challenge when we think about changing food consumption to better support climate and other goals. He said people are hungry for change, and we are relearning how to eat well. It's like within a generation, we had forgotten how to eat well, and now we have to relearn it. Now, as important and valuable as these bottom-up initiatives are, they're still fragmented and need scaling up. Actually, changing food consumption patterns broadly and mainstreaming these changes makes for a complex challenge, because we're operating in a lock-in situation where there's so many things that need to move at the same time to be able to break out of being stuck with the unsustainable and unhealthy way of eating. So, how do we support this process of eating well, eating sustainably and in a climate-friendly way? And how do we scale up this making eating sustainably? So the speakers today, I think, will give us some very valuable insights and reflections on these questions. And I'm very much looking forward to these presentations and the discussions with you today. So without further ado, what do we have in store today? The agenda link will be popped into the chat so you can follow where we're in the program. First two presentations will set the context. Stephanie Wunder will speak about how healthy diets can support sustainability and why we need strategies to make progress in this area. Isabel Pagliota will speak from a civil society perspective how the EU can support sustainable food consumption in member states, also reflecting on what the political realities right now are. And after the coffee break, we'll shift perspective to bottom up. First, we'll hear from Charlotte Schneider, who will share experiences from Lower Saxony with designing and implementing their food strategy, followed by 2 contributions from Poland. Dennis Gerard will introduce the food cooperative, and Maria Staniszewska will reflect on the policy needs in Poland around supporting sustainable food consumption. Each presentation followed by a Q&A and a discussion at the end.